Hello. This is going to be a quick MelonLoader mod making tutorial. First thing you're going to need is a code editor. I personally use Visual Studio because it's quite simple, and MelonLoader has a Visual Studio template that simplifies things. Download Visual Studio here, and then run the installer. Once it's run, you'll get this window. Go into Available, hit Install. Then you're going to want the .NET desktop development and the game development for Unity. Those are really the only ones you need. If you want any of the other ones, feel free to grab them. It has no effect on what we're doing. The next thing you want to do is you're going to want to pick up dnSpy, as dnSpy allows you to decompile and view the contents of the game files. So you want to come here, you want to download it. Once you have it downloaded, you'll want to go to your game files, right-click, Manage, Browse Local Files. When you try to click the DLL files here, they shouldn't try to open. They should, if I go Open With, choose another app, More Apps, look for another app on this PC, then just navigate to the dnSpy exe and click it. I do like to always use this app to open .dll files, so I don't have to do that every time. Once you open it, you'll get a window like this. You'll see the assembly-C#. That is the main file you want for any non-obfuscated games. We're only talking non-obfuscated today. So you're going to expand that down, expand it down again. A lot of them don't put in a namespace, so you'll find this namespace that is blank, which is a dash. And you'll find all the different scripts. We'll come back to this later. So the next thing you want to do is you're going to want to search for MelonLoader. I've not used this Chrome much, it seems. You're going to want to go to both the wiki and the GitHub. On the GitHub, you're going to want to get the MelonLoader installer, download it, run it. You'll get this window here once it loads. It takes a minute sometimes, depending on how many games you have installed that are Unity. Then you simply select the game you want to mod. In this case, it's going to be Atlyss. I already have it installed. But when you go to install it on a new game, you should see this screen. Don't worry about changing the version. Don't bother enabling night rebuilds. Just hit install. And once it's installed, you'll get this. It'll be done. Then you can close this. Then once you've done that, you can go to the wiki. You can scroll down, go to Developing Melons, Quick Start, and you'll see Visual Studio Template. You'll see download the VSIX from the GitHub repo. You want to click that, download this file, run it. In my case, it is already installed. This will go through and it will install. In my case, it says it's already installed because I already have it installed. So it'll go through and install it to your Visual Studio install. Once there, run Visual Studio, whatever version you installed. But sometimes it takes a minute to load. Okay, this time it's taking a real minute. It might have just decided not to open. So once you have it installed, you want to go Create New Project. Oh, it did actually load. We're going to be creating a duplicate of my emote hotkeys.sln here, as that is a simple mod that just uses some simple patching. We'll run through the steps of how to decide how to patch something and what to look for. I'll probably also go through and reference my player party uncap and player lobby limit uncap, as those use some decent patches, and show you when you should use a patch and what to look for to see if you don't need to. So here in the templates, you're going to go Melon. You just search Melon, you'll find, So you're looking for this MelonLoader mod. This template is quite handy, as it gets you to select the exe and automatically formats things. My computer does not like this screen because I have way too many templates installed under C#, so it takes a moment. So you have all the different options. We're going to be using MelonMod. This is primarily the only one you'll be using. You'll rarely be using MelonLoader plugins. Then you go next. I'm going to call it exam in my case. Directory is not empty. Oh, I already created one called exam. I'm going to call it exam2 then. Create. And then you're going to navigate to your game files, which is where you can always copy the address here, which makes it a lot easier. Select the exe of the game you want to mod. Hit open. And now it's just going to take a minute to process. And once it opens up, in Solution Explorer here, if you go to Dependencies Assemblies, you'll see it's imported all these files. These are all the important libraries that you will need for modding. If you don't use the template, you will have to manually import those. I'm not going to go over that today. We're just going to leave that as that. So I'm going to open up my mode hotkeys mod so I can reference it. So the first thing you want to do is, if you want to say call something like when the game first loads, or you need to initialize something, which is actually something we need to do, well, you're going to need to do public override void, and then you get all these options: on cap, application, all these. In this case, we're going to be using one that I don't think is loaded here. On initialize melon. There we go. This runs as right as the plugin's loaded. It is, if you've ever done Unity code, it is the equivalent of void start, essentially. When this thing is started, it runs. So the next thing you want to do is we're going to start with a basic harmony patch. So harmony, first you need to go using harmony lib semicolon. Now you can do harmony, harmony patch brackets type of brackets, and in here you're going to put the type you want to patch. In our case, we're going to want the chat behavior. Where is it? Chat, CHAR, chat behavior. So we're going to want chat behavior because we're hooking in, and we are, oh no, I'm mistaken. We don't want the chat behavior. We want to get the player in this case. I do believe. I've actually just became extremely confused. Oh yeah, in this case, yes, we want to get the player because we're going to be hijacking a method. And we want to make it so these hotkeys only trigger when someone wants them to, not when they're like in a menu or doing something else. So you go player here. So if we scroll through here, I do believe, where is it? I can't recall what it is, but the sit method, when you press X in the game, it does a couple checks. It checks if you're in chat, it checks if you're buffering, it checks if your host console is open. I also added the in UI check because that just is a catch-all. So we're going to need to get the local player. There's a few ways you can do this. You could do player.main, but in this case I'm trying to show patching, so I'm going to show you how you patch that. So you do player, and then you want to do comma, a string. This string will be whatever one of these you want to hook into. So what we're looking for in this case is on game condition change, because this will give you the game condition state. So what we want is game condition changed, and then you're going to create a public class. In this case, I'm going to call it player spawn. Okay, caps lock. And then in here, I'm going to want to do a private static void postfix. And what this will do is this will run after this is called. So this is called, it runs through its code, and then this runs. So in this case, we're going to want to call a reference to the player, which is the instance, because this will reference back to whatever script has called this method. So then you want to do if underscore instance dot underscore current game condition equals game condition dot in game. This will check to see if the player is fully loaded. If they are, you also want to run the check of instance dot is local player. So if the player is fully loaded and they're fully loaded and they're local player, it will run this function. So the next thing we want to do is we want to pass the player back to somewhere we can access it. So public player local player. So, but the thing is, if I try to go local player in here, it's not going to show up. That's because we're somewhere that's private, static, inside another class. You want another class so you can put multiple methods within the same patch. So we want to call back out to get this local player. So what we're going to do is you're going to type the name of your class here, which in our case is core. I do recommend renaming it to something else, like emote core. That way it doesn't interfere with other mods, which is a slim potential, but it is there. So you want to do emote core instance. The name doesn't matter, I just like to call it instance. And you want to make it static. Mr. T. A static emote core instance. So on initialize here that we created earlier, you want to do instance equals this. So that's going to set the static reference to refer to this script as it is. So that now allows you to go emote core dot instance dot local player equals instance. So now we are setting local player here to the instance here. So the next thing you want to want is, there's a few ways to manage input. This mod was, the original version of this was built with a very lazy way of doing it. You really want to go and tap into the Unity input manager, but that's a bit more complicated than I want to get into right now. I'm getting over the basics of mod making. So in this case, we're going to do public void, public override void on update. You don't ever need these base things, you can always get rid of them. So now we're going to run a check. We're going to do if, I'm just going to quickly format, if local player dot in chat, this will check if the user has the chat open, or local player dot in UI, this will check if they have any UIs open, and then host console dot underscore current, which gets the current instance. It's the same function as this instance here. It works the exact same way, that allows you to do the class name and then call the instance. Dot is open. And these few checks will check to see if any of these states are happening. If so, don't let the emotes run, basically. You want to do also or local player dot is buffering. Buffering status. And then if any of these are true, you just want to return. Else if, oops, I completely bugged that, but okay. Input dot get key down. So only going to want to call this when the key is initially pressed. You don't want to keep repeating it. If you do like get key, or this get button, you want get key. So get key, it'll call every frame that the key is down. Get key down gets when the key is first pushed. Get key up is when the key is released. So get key down, we want to do, in this case, we're going to do key code dot b, and then we're going to want to do chat behavior, since we want to access something that's in the chat, because the emotes all managed through the chat. So what we're going to do here is we go up here to chat. Where is it? I'm blind. There we go. So we want to be able to send the emote. In this case, where we want to send it is to, I believe, cmd_send chat message. This will send a synchronized chat message to all users, including ourselves. So if we do ._current.send chat message, so we're going to want to do the string of whatever emote, in this case dance, comma chat behavior dot chat channel dot whichever one. You can use whatever. You can also pass in a zone, the zone that's already existing. In this case, we're just going to do .zone. Why are you giving me an error? Because I've used the wrong one, because this is not the right one. You want cmd send chat message, which is the one we looked at here. cmd send chat message. User sends the synchronized message. And at this point, this mod will in fact function. So you can go build solution. And now if you go back to your game folders, manage, browse local files, mods, you will see examp2. It has been automatically exported. In this case, I'm going to disable some of my other mods here that could potentially interfere. Let's get them over here. Let's get this one out as well. And now if I play, put the game mode up, in the console here, you'll see that we have asset loading test, examp, Willy's Beyond Limits, Unity Explorer. So examp is the one we just created. So that one is loaded in successfully. So now once the game loads, which takes a minute, it appears we made a mistake. What have I done wrong? So if we go back to examp2, what we have done is we forgot to add a check to see if the local player exists. So we want to add if local player equals null, return. So if the player does not exist, just quit. There's no point in trying to run it. I also like to add things to catch statements, because if things do break, then they're not atrocious. It's not a great way of managing it, but it is a good fix for when testing or prototyping. Is you can do try, you can do catch exception E, and how you log to the MelonLoader console is melonlogger.msg, and then whatever you want to send. In this case, it's exception E. So if something breaks, it'll be printed to the console. So now we're going to go. 1 second here. Just get this out as well. So now we're going to go run the game again. See that it loads. So it's loaded again. Which takes a minute. Sometimes you may have to put an input in the console just because it will seize up, but that is rare. Oh yeah, also I will show you this other tool that I have here that is very helpful for dissecting the way the inside of the game works. So if you run the game, wait to load in. So now if I hit B, you'll dance. And you can hit it as many times, and yeah. So that's a simple, quick little emote plugin. So that tool you saw that covered my screen with a bunch of information is another mod called Unity Explorer, which is by Sinrydev. Yes, Sinrydev. So you want to go to here, releases, and you want to download MelonLoader.mono. Once it's downloaded, you want to go extract, whether it's just default Windows extract or anything, doesn't matter. Open it, so you see you have your mods and you have a user lib folder. So user libs here just refers to going to here, to this user libs folder and putting it in here. And then it gives you quite a handy UI. I'm not going to go over that right now, but you can go through it on your own time, and it gives you a lot of information. And I hope that this was pretty clear. If you have any questions, feel free to put comments below or in the thread where I post this. Thank you. Have a good day.